Okay, so if you manage to make it through the holidays without getting sick, consider yourself lucky. Seasonal virus activity is surging across the U.S., and health experts expect even bigger bumps going on in January. I know I sent my kids back to school today, and I was like, keep the germs away.
Yeah, Dr. McGeorge is here with a look at the latest data from the CDC and the current situation right here in Michigan and across Metro Detroit. How's it looking?
Well, you know, Karen and Ahmad, actually, so let's start here in Metro Detroit. Across the Henry Ford Health System where I work, COVID numbers have continued on a steady increase, going, frankly, above where we were at the same time last year. However, we are not seeing a dramatic increase in COVID hospitalizations. Now, also, the flu is definitely showing up consistently in my ER, and it's even worse in the rest of the country.
A new year, the same respiratory virus is hitting the U.S. hard.
We are seeing an enormous amount of COVID. Fortunately, a lot of that is in the outpatient setting, not necessarily in the hospital like we had seen in years past. Influenza is rampant.
2/3 of states reporting flu activity that's high or very high, and it's accelerating. So far, 7 million confirmed illnesses, 73,000 hospitalizations, and 4,500 deaths related to flu. Nationally, CDC data shows COVID-19 levels in wastewater are very high, higher than this time last year in every region. Weekly emergency department visits rose 12%, and hospitalizations jumped about 17%. With cases surging, some hospitals are even requiring masks again.
And it's typical that we see a surge in these viruses at this time of year, although it does seem to be a bit more this year than in years past.
You can protect yourself and others by being vaccinated against these spreading viruses, as well as practicing other preventative measures, like staying home when you're sick, washing your hands, and considering a mask if you don't feel well but still have to be around others.
The more we expose one another, the more we'll see an increase in these infections.
Now, although flu and respiratory illnesses in Michigan are on the rise, according to the latest information from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, flu in particular is actually still only at moderate levels, which unfortunately means we can actually only expect it to get worse for us in the coming weeks.
I have a couple of friends home right now with the flu. So if the flu hasn't peaked yet, is it still time to get the vaccine? You still have time.
Well, you do, but honestly, you should get it as soon as possible since it's not going to be fully effective for a couple of weeks. I have to say, locally, the flu is actually a significant concern since vaccination rates have really been poor this year, which basically means when it does peak, it could actually be more serious and much wider spread.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Warned. All right.
Thanks, Doc.